This is a quick note to UFO researchers and anyone that might be interested in knowing more about aliens and the whole cover-up issue and why the secrecy. My father worked for North American Aviation, which became Rockwell, who built the B-1, and he was a technical writer, so he had a lot of different exposure to all kinds of different parts of the business. Now, the important thing here is that what a lot of people don't realize is that there was a lot of infighting between the military and the private companies that were doing the contracted work for them. They frequently fought about how a device could best meet the goals of the program, and even down to whether the goals of the program were correct and wise or not. Okay, so my father's experience with the B-1 was that the Air Force had originally wanted a plane that could come in really fast and attack. Hug the ground using basically terrain following computers that would allow it to skim below the radar. Okay, and so they went to a lot of trouble to develop that whole system and a lot of other aspects of the plane, and then the program got canceled, and then it was picked back up later on, and the use for it became more of a bomber and less of an attack plane. So as a result, we really kind of got the best of both worlds, because the plane is extremely fast and is a very capable bomber, but can still fight and attack on the ground. So sometimes these things work out, sometimes they don't. One of my father's big points was that the main reason a lot of these things are secret, like with UFO research, as far as what the government knows and what they're doing with the technology, it stays secret because there's never anything that comes from all the research that they do. So his claim was that they're not going to disclose that they have this great, wonderful technology, but they don't know how it works, and they spent billions of your dollars to find out that they don't know how it works or how to make it work, okay? And so I think this is how the breakaway civilization started, because I definitely believe that that's true. I think it's a brilliant idea Richard Dolan had, and it's very true. It has to be, because just from what I've seen myself through my father, it was obvious that there were developments that these private contractors were coming across in the process of fulfilling their government contracts, which may not have necessarily been applied to those government projects because they didn't have to. Okay, if you come across something that allows a breakthrough to a higher technology, but you're being paid to build jets, okay, for X amount of money, well, if you can still do that, but you use this, say, anti-gravity technology that you happen to discover in the process of trying to make a better airplane, and using research you found through, whether it's things that are planted by people like Corso, or if that's BS and it's just our own development, or private institutions like Rockwell and these others getting their hands on crashed alien craft, whatever the process may be to get there, the point is, if they don't need that technology for a contract that they already have with the government, well, what motivation do they really have to try to sell this to the government? None. I mean, yeah, they could make more money, they could charge more, or whatever. But if the requirements for what they have to build for the government are low, but they see the potential of these higher tech things, like, imagine, anti-gravity is a great example. So you take anti-gravity and you develop it for your own private company to use in the future, so that when the time comes where the demands for the product of the future make it so that you have to have that kind of technology. You'll already have it developed. And you'll be the first one, hopefully, to be able to release it when the time necessitates it, when the demands of the people giving you the contract demand it. Okay, and because of the way the secrecy has been kept, and what it's done is it's kept the expectations of the contractors, aerospace contractors, business partners, i.e. the government, the military, kept those expectations so low because they think all this high tech is a bunch of crap and doesn't really exist and aliens aren't really here, that they don't have higher expectations. If they thought that stuff was real, they'd be demanding that, we'd be able to get to the moon in 5 minutes, as opposed to waiting 40 years, still not having anything to show for all the millions of dollars that we've put into researching new propulsion. There's a lot of money that goes into this that goes nowhere because it doesn't have to, because the people are kept dumb enough to not believe that there's higher tech than what we have here on Earth, and so naturally our expectations stay lower. That makes the profitability of the aerospace companies higher and higher because, imagine if you're working on anti-gravity technology, building a jet aircraft for any purpose, no matter what the specs, is going to be like child's play compared to the anti-gravity stuff you've been messing with. So, what my dad saw at Rockwell was a lot of fighting between the Air Force and the personnel, engineers specifically, at Rockwell who wanted to do things a certain way, and the Air Force wanted them done a different way. And so these conflicts are what fuel this whole thing with the contractors are not going to try any harder than they have to make a buck. That's all it is. They're not going to give you their best unless they know that's all you're going to accept and pay for. And so, of course, I'm sure they've gone to extreme measures, just like everybody in the government that knows about these things, to keep it quiet, because they want to keep our expectations low, just like they want to keep our intelligence level low. Fortunately, we're at a point right now where there are so many great intellectual people in UFO research right now, in the disclosure movement, that we have hope. We have great hope, and I think there's more of us that are into this, that are highly intellectual also and intelligent. We can get disclosure done, but we're doing it right now. So what matters most is we raise our expectations so that those with the knowledge can no longer keep it to themselves, because our expectations are not going to allow for that. And on that note, I'll end. Have a great day. God bless you. And keep on doing the research and reading and discover this stuff for yourself. Hopefully you'll have an experience of your own that's a safe one and not one of those crazy abductions. I've had those and others, but there's a lot of peaceful contact can happen too, and that's what I hope for you. Take care.